2016. Like, what is Opendoor? I didn't pay that much attention, but man, have you guys blown up. Day, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're at. Here from LabCoatAgents. I'm Mike Bernier, your host today. I'm here with the guys from Opendoor. Excited about this webinar because Opendoor is it's been kind of a hot topic lately. I remember the first time I heard of you guys, I think it was like back in 2016. Like, what is Opendoor? I didn't pay that much attention, but man, have you guys blown up. So if we could, quick introduction. We got Will Holmes, the general manager of Agent Growth, Tyler Hixson, also of Opendoor. Could you guys, because you can speak to your company better than I can you give us a quick intro to what Opendoor is and what it really is all about for those that don't know or don't know much about it?
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. My name is Tyler Hixson. Nice to meet everybody. I work on strategic growth and partnerships with Opendoor. I've been with Opendoor for over 5 years now. I joined in the spring of 2016. Prior to that, I was a realtor and worked in both general brokerage and new home land development and sales, and have been working with and for agents at Opendoor ever since.
And I'm Will Holmes. I'm Director of Strategic Partnerships at Opendoor. I'm also the GM of the Agent Growth Channel. My background is in financial services and relationship management. I came to Opendoor in 2018. And since I've been at Opendoor, I've been involved with our home builder partnerships, our lender partnerships, and then for the past year, I've been the head of our agent growth partnerships and channel at Opendoor. So really, really excited to be with all of you today.
Great.
Why don't you take it away?
Awesome. Some quick housekeeping. This is obviously being recorded and be shared out after. If you have questions, we'd love to hear them. So feel free to drop them into the chat. And then we'll have plenty of time at the end to run through those. So really, we want to go over 3 main things with you today. So we're going to give you sort of the broad overview of Opendoor, of what Opendoor is and how we work, some of the common myths about Opendoor that you've probably heard. And we're going to walk you through actually the agent experience and the process for getting an offer and transacting with Opendoor.
So can we just pause for a second, guys? For those that don't know what Opendoor truly is, there's still people that go, what is Opendoor? I ran into that probably 6 times last week. So when you say get an offer from Opendoor, what do you mean?
So at its core, Opendoor is a buyer. We are a cash buyer. That is the best way to think about us, especially as a listing agent. Your job is to procure offers for your seller. We have cash and we like to buy houses. So we are a reliable buyer for each and every one of your sellers. And really today we want to make sure that people understand that and that they can include us as part of their offering to each of their sellers. And so with that, our mission at Opendoor is to power everyone with the freedom to move. We're a platform that connects people with their best option for buying, selling, or trading in a home, whether that's through our product or through the service of an agent. And so we're using technology to really simplify every step of the process. And so far it's worked. At its core, freedom to move means less friction, or said another way, fewer pain points. So our goal is to remove that friction, create a seamless experience for the seller and for you as the agent. Today, we are in 39 markets. We started in Phoenix in 2014. We grew to 21 markets by 2020. We announced at the end of last year, our goal was to hit 42 markets this year, and we are well on track to hitting that goal. In the future, though, this whole map should be blue. Opendoor intends to be an option and available in every market across the country. So quick overview of actually how does Opendoor work? So we let sellers skip the hard parts in 5 easy steps. First, you as the agent, you come to Opendoor and you request a free no obligation offer for your seller client. We'll then go ahead and do a virtual home assessment with the agent. So what that means is you're basically just gonna be walking through the house, recording a video, taking some pictures for us, submitting that through our portal so that we can get a better idea of the features and conditions of that home and use those to make granular adjustments in our CMA process. After that, we will send somebody out to the house to do an assessment of the exterior of the property. So we're looking for, the condition of the outside of the home. We're assessing the condition of the roof, the HVAC, things like that. Once we have all of that information, we're going to be able to deliver a finalized cash offer for you and the client. The best thing about this is they know all of their fees and costs upfront. So unlike a traditional buyer where you go into contract and then you pray through the inspection period and negotiate those repairs, the seller is going to know all of those things up front before they ever sign the contract. So we think that's a real value add in that consideration. From there, the seller picks their own closing date. They're in the driver's seat the whole time. And once we close, we take possession of the home. We take care of any deferred maintenance, necessary repairs on the property. And we relist the home on the MLS and also make it available for self-tours for buyers and agents as well. So what do your clients actually get with Opendoor? Why is this good for them? First off is the convenience, right? We know there are many people who don't want to deal with the hassle of extended showings, having to be, out on a moment's notice, keeping the house clean. I myself, right, I've got my 4th child on the way. I've got 2 dogs. I generally work from home. The thought of being show ready and having to endure that for any period of time is certainly cumbersome, to say the least. So we provide convenience on that side. The other is certainty. We're a cash buyer. There's no risk of fall through. There's no appraisal contingency. We're good to close when we present an offer. The third is speed, which I really like to think of as on a spectrum, right? We can close quickly. We can close in 10 to 14 days if needed. We can give a seller we'll generally give up to 60 days on that closing. And if your seller is also building a new home, we'll give them up to 9 months to close on that house, so they avoid any double move scenarios while they're waiting on that new home to be built. And then probably the most important part is control. They have control over every step of the way, from picking the close date, adjusting it as many times as they want, and there's a risk-free cancellation policy. So we understand that situations change, life is very fluid, and we're going to be accommodating to that. So how does that actually translate into the numbers? Since 2014, we've served over 100,000 customers in the United States. We can close these transactions up to 3 times faster than the traditional sale process. And in doing this, our company has a net promoter score of 80. And what a net promoter score is, or an NPS, if you hear that, is a common customer satisfaction metric used across a bunch of different industries. And at its core, it's one question: how likely are you to recommend this product or service to your friends or family? And the responses from our customers, both our sellers, our buyers, and the agents we work with, has been overwhelmingly positive. And they would recommend a transaction with Opendoor. So want to address 2 of the most common myths we hear about Opendoor. The first, the most pervasive, is that Opendoor makes lowball offers and high fees. I can't tell you the thousands of times that I've either heard personally, seen in Facebook groups, etc., that Opendoor is just going to make a crappy offer. They're going to charge a ton in service fees. They're going to basically steal all this equity from the seller, and it's never going to be a good option. The reality couldn't be further from the truth at this point. In 2019, a third-party research company analyzed over 20,000 iBuyer transactions across the US and found that the difference between the iBuyer offer and the market value of the home was less than 1%, essentially at parity. This year, Zavvi released their mid-year report, and in that they found that iBuyers were purchasing homes at an average of 104% of market value. All of that to say, we also only charge a 5% flat service fee to all of our customers. So our offers are both predictable and compelling. And within that, it's hard to say as an agent that it's not worth at least seeing what Opendoor would offer for your seller clients.
All right, Tyler, let's talk about myth number 2. This is the hot button topic, obviously, for a number of agents, and something that I, again, also see quite a bit and get asked a bit about, which is, Opendoor doesn't pay agents for working with us. And that, for lack of a better term, is patently false. While today's webinar, we're going to focus predominantly on the seller represented experience with listing agents, there is also obviously an opportunity for buyers agents to get paid in working with Opendoor as well. So at a high level, there are 3 ways that agents can be compensated and get paid with working with Opendoor. So first, when your seller client sells to Opendoor, you earn whatever commission you've negotiated with them. Okay, want to make that very, very clear. Whatever you've negotiated with your seller, you get to keep as your listing commission. Okay. Number 2, if the seller you're representing hasn't engaged with Opendoor recently, you'll earn an additional 1% from us for identifying that new relationship. 3, and with our new agent access program that we launched in mid-July, just a few weeks ago, we're really, really excited about providing bonuses and more commissions to agents that work with us repeatedly throughout the year. So for instance, on your third transaction with Opendoor, we're going to pay you a $5,000 listing or $5,000 commission on top of the commission you're getting from your seller, on top of the possible 1% if the client is not engaged with us recently, and you're going to get that $5,000 as well. So once again, you keep your listing commission. Okay, Opendoor again is a buyer, and buyers should not dictate how you get paid by your seller. We are not going to get in the middle of dictating to you what you and your buyer or you and your seller should be have negotiated with on the transaction for the representation. 2, that 1% commission for introducing the seller that you are the reason why they came to Opendoor. We will pay 1% commission automatically at closing on top of what the seller paid commission is to you if you're the reason that that customer came to Opendoor. Again, we think it's right to recognize that you've identified and introduced a new seller to us. And so that would be on top of whatever arrangement you have with your seller to represent them in the transaction. And then third, with our agent access program that we launched a few weeks back in mid-July, we are working with agents all across the country, and those agents that are more familiar with us and have embedded us into their business and provided Opendoor as a viable and consistent opportunity and option for their seller, you can earn additional cash bonuses on top of it in commissions. So, on the right here, you can see, at the third transaction, you can theoretically be able to get your 1% listing commission and your $5,000 bonus. On that 4th through 9th transaction, we'll pay you a $1,000 bonus on top of other commissions that you'd be getting from Opendoor. On that 10th transaction, we're going to give you a $5,000 bonus. And then all the way up to your 20th transaction with Opendoor in a given year, we're going to give you a $20,000 bonus commission on top of it. So let's look at that as an example, a $400,000 purchase price on that third transaction with Opendoor. Okay, so let's say you and your seller have negotiated a 3% representation for selling of their home. That would equate to $12,000. You, again, keep your listing commission. Second, because that seller had not requested an offer from Opendoor in the previous 30 days, we're going to pay you 1% or $4,000 as part of that transaction. And because that transaction is your third transaction with Opendoor in a calendar year, we're going to pay you $5,000. So that'd be a $21,000 total commission on your third transaction in a year with Opendoor, which would equate to effectively a 5% commission on that sale alone. Lastly, and I think this is incredible and important for us to mention to all of you. This is to me is a very staggering number. Opendoor has paid $300 million in commissions and referrals to agents and brokerages since 2014 when we launched. So you can tell that through this process, we're looking to pay more and more commissions and referrals for you representing sellers, and we look forward to this number growing in the months and years to come. Lastly, as part of this webinar, we wanted to kind of go over briefly the high-level offer process. As Tyler discussed earlier, the essence of Opendoor is to remove the stress, hassle, and uncertainty for the transaction. There's no reason why that shouldn't be the case for agents as well. So we've been working on a number of ways to streamline that process and remove any hiccups for you too. Tyler and I truly believe that the new way to win listings is to represent more sellers in your Rolodex and in your database. And so by positioning yourself as an advisor or a strategic consultant to your client, you prove to be more of an asset to them. We think Opendoor is an incredible tool to serve a broader audience and convert all of your leads into closings. You'd be amazed at how many times agents reach out to us and let us know that by utilizing a traditional listing option, as well as hitting the easy button with Opendoor, that they've been able to serve a broader and deeper relationships within their database. The offer process, looks like this. We know it takes a while for sellers to get their home list ready. So in the meantime, because we want to provide a solid offer without any games and at a solid fee, the Opendoor process is something that you can do simultaneously. So what we recommend is that you request an offer and receive the preliminary estimate prior to going to your listing appointment. Then go over the seller's options and ideally shoot and submit the internal video along with scheduling the external assessment as soon as you get done with that listing appointment. Next, we will come out to the home within a couple of days and do that exterior assessment. And then following that, within a couple of days of that, we'll deliver our final net cash offer on the home, and you'll be able to review that with your client. That client and you have 7 days to accept that offer, and then be able to pick that closing date anywhere from 14 to 90 days, as Tyler referenced a bit earlier. And then lastly, because again, convenience is one of our North Stars, the seller has 7 days post-possession occupancy after closing before we pick up the keys. And so that makes that moving process a lot more enjoyable for you and your client. With that, Mike, we would really appreciate the opportunity to talk with the group, and we'd love to have any questions that you have or anyone else in the community. So thanks a lot, Mike.
I'm going to share a couple of things first too. For those that don't know me, I'm a brokerage owner out of Minnesota, 650 wonderful real estate professionals here. So we see quite a bit because Opendoors in our marketplace, and we've been working with you guys. But I want to tell one quick story so you guys can totally understand where we're coming from here. I had an agent that came to me about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, and they said, you know what, I'm so ticked off right now. I had a listing appointment on Friday night, and on Thursday I got a call. And the seller says to me, hey, guess what? You don't have to come over tomorrow. Your weekend's free. And he says, well, what are you talking about? He goes, well, I just sold the house to Opendoor. He's like, what? I didn't know you were even thinking about going that route. If I'd have known, I would have been able to give you some options. And the seller looked at him and said, I didn't know you had any relationship with anybody that does what Opendoor does. And the moral of the story was, if you have one option for people and they're looking for something slightly different and doesn't fit your box, you're going to miss the opportunity. I can't tell you how many times I've seen agents increase their business because their clients, their SOI, their past clients, the leads they're talking to all know to come for them because they're talking about the services and the relationships they have, and they're doing more business. I think the fear agents have is that they're going to do less business because of companies like Opendoors. But when you leverage it, the whole thing correctly, you're not losing opportunity, you're gaining it exponentially. You guys agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I truly believe that a well-informed, empowered consumer is the best consumer. Agents and brokerages spend a tremendous amount of effort, blood, sweat, and tears to work with potential clients and leads. And being able to provide a number of different options to serve that client's needs and wants is an incredible way to work with more and more sellers. What the analogy that I like to talk about is a chef at a restaurant. Imagine if you just had one ingredient and you could only just cook one meal. With Opendoor, it allows you to serve so many more clients and customers.
Could that one meal be Chipotle? If so, I'm in. I'm fine with that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and the reality is that the role, right, of the agent and the fiduciary is changing and evolving very quickly, right? It's underneath us. Whether or not it's Opendoor, the iBuyer model is not going to go away, right? Like, you take worst case scenario for us, right? Opendoor fails and goes away. It doesn't mean that the iBuyer model is now gone. The iBuyer model has now been adopted and invested in by broader financial communities. This is something that is going to continue to exist. And so the role of the agent drastically shifts from being just a service provider to being a consultant, right? So you need to have a consultative approach in which you as the agent are the expert in every option that's available in your market. And it allows you to get really creative and customize these unique moving packages and experience for each of your customers that best fits their unique needs. So whether that means, selling on the open market and using another company to help turn your finance buyer into a cash buyer to make them more competitive, whether that's selling to a company like Opendoor to unlock their contingencies so that they can go ahead and make an offer on their next property. All of these models are only going to continue to evolve, and new models are going to come forward.
Well, let's be honest too, because when you're talking about having the option, what happens is you end up getting more people reaching out to you versus somebody else to talk about selling their home. And even if they don't take the Opendoor, this is what I want to really impart with everybody. Even if they don't take the Opendoor offer, you're sitting in front of a seller that now wouldn't have called you in the first place. And now you're having a conversation about another option like listing their home traditionally or something else that you have up your sleeve. But the reality is the companies like yours are not going anywhere. People are learning about them. The only thing that's really getting marginalized are agents that don't know anything about it, in my opinion.
Yeah, Mike, what I actually say is I talk a lot with agents about credibility and removing consumer doubt. In a lot of places across the country, consumers are coming to Opendoor, and there's no reason why consumers shouldn't come to Opendoor with their trusted advisor as well. And so that's where Tyler and I come into play, is kind of turning agents into superheroes so they can confidently talk about all these options. And we believe, Opendoor may not be the right solution for every customer, but it's the right solution for a lot of customers. And that confident agent that is credible, that is the go-to source for solutions with a solutions-oriented approach is going to be the one that wins that listing. And that, I think that's really important to kind of impress upon the LabCoatAgents community.
And I also want to say this too. I have another story. This recently happened in our office where an agent was taking a listing. It was a distressed listing. There was something going on with the owner, probably some health issues and things of that nature. The house needed lots of attention before sale. Next thing you know, the agent's getting roped into, renting a dumpster and personally getting things thrown away and cleaned up and staged. And this poor girl was running out of time and energy, and she was freaking out a little bit. And she calls and says, I don't know what to do with this. And I said, well, have you thought about looking at Opendoor as an option? She got online, never even heard of Opendoor, by the way, got online, started going through the process, and the initial offer came back higher than what her listing price was going to be. Now, when she started reading the Opendoor bullet points, she says, wait a second, I'm probably going to get paid a lot less than this. It looks like it's only like 1%. I said, nope, hold on. If you're the listing agent, whatever you and the seller negotiate for your commission, that's your guys' business. Opendoor is paying you a 1% referral. So she's saying, I could potentially make 4%, 5%. I said, yes, absolutely. Blew her mind. But the reality is there's sellers for one reason or another, whether it's, time, energy, maybe there's family things going on, work things going on. They don't have the ability to really get their house ready, show ready, and go through the traditional process. That's why they're looking for, for pain points being removed. I probably have 4 or 5 agents in my office that sold their own house to Opendoor. So when you start looking at Opendoor like an actual buyer, hey, I've got $1 billion checkbook to go buy properties with. I think you start to look at things a little differently, rather than looking at Opendoor as competition, but looking at Opendoor as a tool. Because guess what? The thought process that Opendoor is buying up inventory that you would have access to, I look at it like this: if you buy a house, you're going to turn around and put that back in the market, which is different than being a flipper. We'll talk about that in a minute. But you guys are putting it back in the market now. Now, as an agent, you can bring a buyer. You can bring a buyer that wouldn't have had inventory before to a fresh on the market home again. So one of the questions I saw pop up 2 or 3 times today is, the statement that you guys are removing inventory from the market or taking listing opportunity. I would argue that you're a buyer buying inventory, putting it back in the market, because if somebody else bought that, they're not moving for 8 to 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I mean, I think we are increasing the velocity. Tyler talked about that a bit earlier. We're increasing the velocity of transactions, and we're also increasing the frequency of transactions. Again, we are trying to remove the fear, hassle, and uncertainty of folks moving. And if we can remove that, there are going to be more and more transactions that occur and more opportunities for agents to work with more and more clients. Tyler, I don't know if you want to elaborate on that.
Yeah, I mean, like if the average homeowner transacts one additional time over the course of their lifetime, it increases the overall transaction volume in the domestic market by like 35%, some ridiculous number. And so, yeah, there is a big difference. Like, we are going to purchase this home. We are going to relist this home. Mike, you already said that creates an opportunity then both to work with a seller and a buyer essentially on the same house. And these transactions are not disappearing. Yeah, so I mean, I think it ultimately like nets out to a win-win, as it's easier for sellers and buyers to transfer and move equity, and moving itself becomes easier. People will be able to do it with increased frequency. And the reality is that though the majority of people want the experience of selling to Opendoor, right? I want to be able to sell, I want to get a great price, and I don't want to have to show it to a bunch of people and be inconvenienced by that. But they also want the service and the guidance and the protection of an agent, right? Many people are still first-time home sellers, and they're saying, all right, this sounds really great, but I need an expert by my side to make sure that like I'm making the best choice, right? And I've evaluated all of my options, and it's worth paying a commission, for that comfort. And so we see that, all the time. Our transactions are happening, agents are getting paid, sellers are happy with the experience, and
on top of it, the agent then's not having to go market the house. They're not spending the marketing money. They're not worrying about, appraisal problems. They're not worrying about inspection problems. They're moving right on to closing, which could be as soon as 2 weeks, which is really great a lot of times.
Mike, you said something a few minutes ago that I think we should double click on a bit, which is this conversation starter, this ability to kind of get the client to kind of talk about their situation. If anything else, the Opendoor, offer allows you to identify some things that customer or a client may not necessarily be as forthcoming about, which is, hey, if we sell the home, but we're going to buy another one, are we going to be able to do back-to-back closings? Well, with Opendoor, you can effectively do a back-to-back closing because we'll let you pick your closing date and move it any number of times. So, that cuts down on storage, the double move, the double mortgage, right? How about the process about after you close, this kind of shotgun marriage that happens where you throw keys and you move on to that, right? With Opendoor, we give you 7 days post-possession, post-closing of the home, for you to move, right? How about the idea of having 2 or 3 kids? Tyler talked about his three kids and fourth one on the way. And just the thought of kind of having open houses and having folks coming through their house, and kind of the organization that needs to happen to make sure that family's lifestyle isn't interrupted for a period of time. These are the conversations that come about by having like adaptive tools to kind of apply to what the client's needs are in a situation. And as we all know, no transaction is identical. So having, some tools to kind of build a bespoke or, tailored solution for your client, I think Opendoor is a phenomenal way to do that.
And take Opendoor, the name, out of the equation, right? As a listing agent, if I went to my seller client and said, hey, I've got a buyer, they're willing to pay in cash, they're willing to let you pick the closing date, and they'll let you cancel at any time. Is there any listing agent who's going to say that's a bad offer? I shouldn't present that to my seller. I think it would be hard to find a way to argue against that in a way that's not self-serve.
I think if I'm going to call it out, Tyler, I think there's a biasness against Opendoor and other iBuyer companies, because the feeling is they want to eliminate real estate agents. The feeling is they want to kill traditional real estate. I don't think traditional real estate's ever going to be dead, but there's definitely room, because it's not a scarcity mentality here, it's an abundance mentality. There's room for other models that solve problems that need to be solved for specific people. And again, if you embrace it instead of fight it, you will end up doing more business, not less. I want to say that another time. If you pick up another 5 listings in the next year or 10 listings in the next year because you're marketing all the options you work with, and is everybody that talks to you going to take the Opendoor offer? No, they're not. Not everybody will. But you now just gained 5, 7, 10 different listings you wouldn't have had. How is that not a win? Right? So that's the way I look at it. And that's what I'm watching agents that really are good at this. That's what I'm watching them do.
Cool. Do
Hey, we
any
got some questions we got to answer here, guys. Do you mind if we plow through them real quick from the audience?
Absolutely.
All right. Does the agent have to already have it listed to present the opportunity to get cash offer, or can they present in the listing presentation to get the listing? The
You can
bid
do it.
form asks for an MLS number.
Yep, you can do it in the listing presentation. It's actually beneficial to request the offer prior to that home going active on the MLS, because you're enabling Opendoor to essentially be a market maker. You're essentially letting them define the value, what they believe the value of the home is worth and what they're willing to pay for. Versus once that home is listed, you've essentially set a ceiling, correct? There is no, why would you offer above list price if you don't have to, right? In a more generic sense. And coupled with the timing and the way agents are starting to utilize Opendoor to both generate new like marketing campaigns and angles and generate more appointments, being able to walk into the listing appointment and say, here's my CMA, here's my side-by-side net sheet. We can go to market. I think this is what will happen. I also have a number here for a cash buyer, and we can talk about the trade-offs between those two opportunities, and you leverage that offer to be able to win that business.
Love it. And then the follow-up question, why are we asking for an MLS number?
That's for commission and payments. We use that to kind of track, again, as part of our agent access program,
And
frequency and volume.
let me jump in real quick to confirm that's not asking for the MLS number for the listing. What we're asking for is that your MLS ID number, like your agent ID number.
Yeah. And so we use that for tracking of our access program to help us, along with your email address, to make sure that we can identify the number of transactions that you've done with us in a year, so that we can make sure that you get paid your proper bonus and commissions by us.
Love it. Okay, so next question. All right, I already said that one. You guys in Michigan? I think you may have already answered that. Maybe
we are not in Michigan as of yet, but as Tyler alluded to earlier, we have very ambitious plans about where we want to be in the next few years, and all across the U.S. is definitely somewhere places that we want to be.
Then we've got this sounds like a backdoor version of Zillow or Realtor.com. You buy the house and then take our inventory to turn around and turn us into buyer's agents. So how is that advantageous to us in the long run? And again, I would say, I'm sure you guys will answer the same. You still are the listing agent. You don't, this is where people get confused thinking that you have to remove yourself as a listing agent to work with Opendoor. Opendoor is a buyer. You're literally bringing the buyer in and you're a listing agent. And if the seller wants to take that offer, you just sold the house as a listing agent. That's the way we see it done all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Any follow-up to that?
Couldn't say it any better, Mike.
Yep.
Good deal. All right. Do you purchase condos?
In most markets. So each market, our buy box, what we call our buy box, may differ slightly. And so we typically have like a price band that we will purchase within, and homes built after a certain time period, on a certain lot size. In most markets, we are purchasing condos. You'll know when you first plug in that address, whether or not it fits that buy box criteria. And so we'll be able to give you a quick response there to know whether it's eligible for an offer.
And Tyler, actually a good point to raise, which is by being aware of whether or not Opendoor is able to offer on the home also helps you to be a more informed agent to talk with your seller about, again, what options are available to them. So, even if we aren't able to offer on that particular home, you'll at least be able to talk about, another, option not being available and what other options are available to you and your seller in kind of, selling of their home.
And Will, I think this is super important because really the feeling that we're getting from the comments, is a couple of the comments anyway, is that, hey, you guys are intruding upon our territory. You come in and you start buying up listings or buying up houses, that takes listings out of our pocket. And the reality is, not every listing is going to be serviced, not every area is going to be serviced, not every offer is going to be taken. But here's the thing, what Will just said is true. I would rather be the one they call at the center of a transaction, not one option that they're considering among five. I would rather be the first phone call, right? So the reality is these companies are coming in, whether it's Zillow or Opendoor or you name the company, they're coming in, they're here to stay. I would rather be the one that's consulted first rather than my customers that I built the relationship going elsewhere beside of me. So, positioning yourself to be the person that has the options, that can walk people through if they trust you, and that trust will transfer. If they trust you, they'll trust what your advice is. So when you're marketing yourself as an agent that works with programs like Opendoor, next thing you know, you're getting more calls, you're getting more business. And if they don't take the offer, or if Opendoor doesn't service that area, guess what your next conversation is? Well, you still need to sell. Let's talk about the next option. Now you're getting listings that you may not have gotten prior. So that's the beauty of it, in my opinion.
Mike on here was asking why we're not in Michigan yet. We have ambitious growth plans, but we want to grow smartly. And it just comes down to making sure that we have the operations and the team and confidence that when we do go to serve a market, that we do serve it really, really well. And so happy for you to reach out to us, and we'll keep you in the loop on that. And next time that Tyler and I are in the area, or as we launch in Michigan, I'm more than happy to sit down and chat with you as well. So I'm super excited about that.
And I think that's about all the questions from the audience here. Do we have anything else we want to wrap up? Final thoughts, guys?
No, I mean, I think again, we really look forward to kind of learning and understanding and kind of appreciating the feedback that you folks have. You guys help shape our product and our decisions. And so this should be a two-way street. We want to be a resource and a tool for you. And we really, really look forward to kind of expanding and growing our partnerships with agents and brokerages across the country. Tyler, do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, no, I think you hit it well. I think just remembering that we want to be a counterpart with you, right? We want to be a tool. We are, in its simplest form, we're a cash buyer. We're a cash buyer who wants to purchase homes in your area. And you just go to opendoor.com/agents. It'll take you a few minutes to plug in the information in order to be able to get an offer.
Last question from the crowd that just popped up. How long do you typically own a home before it's resold?
It depends.
It depends circumstance by circumstance, condition of the house, et cetera. Our goal is to get that house back on market quickly and efficiently and get it resold. Again, we are not your traditional fix and flip investor. So we are not looking to come in and buy as cheaply as possible, invest deeply in that home, and then try and maximize the return on that individual home, right? We are a volume-based business. And in reality, our job, right, is to meet the seller at the point they're ready to transact, provide them liquidity up front, meet them at their net proceeds, and give them the freedom to go ahead and move on. We then take on the task and the risk of selling that home on the open market. And so in doing that, we want to do that quickly. So we're not coming in and doing a ton of renovation and knocking down walls and renovating kitchens. We're doing deferred maintenance. We're making sure the house is clean, safe, and functional. We're doing some minor cosmetic things to get that house in marketable condition, and then we're putting it back on the MLS.
Love it. Well, gentlemen, I think
Excellent.
that was great. I think everybody hopefully enjoyed their time today and learned a few things. If anything, I hope you guys learned a few things, have more clarity. And if you choose to go ahead and try to work with Opendoor, from my perspective, it's been a great program. So thanks again, everyone. Thanks, Will. Thanks, Tyler. Thanks, LabCoatAgents. You all have a great day.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.